Hey guys, Christy here with Bridging the Gap. I'm sitting with assistant principal, co-principal. How do y'all?
Assistant principal.
Assistant principal,
yes.
Mr. Thompson, and counselor, Miss Heathington. Busy day in spring. I know you guys are tired of hearing that. I know you're feeling it, but this is how important this is to us to make sure that we sit down and talk about hard topics sometimes and get your questions answered. So we'll dive right in. Let's talk about the middle school success program. What does that class actually teach?
So, and she can relay more into it, but it's 5 different teachers kind of teaching 5 different things. Some may be finance in one class. They may be learning how to balance a checkbook. They may be learning how to calculate anything from spending. They sometimes get a budget and say, you have $500, let's go see what you can buy and see if it's stuff that's going to be useful for them, or see if it's going to be stuff that hey, you wasted $100 and something on this, do you really need it? So it's doing that. So they're in there for 6 weeks, and it's a good time for them to learn some different things. And like I said, she can relay more on what those classes do for them. But it's been very beneficial for some of our students.
Cool. So they teach finance and
so we have personal finance. Every grade level has personal finance, so we break it apart so that the math teacher has a little extra time to work on other things, and then he has his personal finance unit, or someone teaches those. We have a social emotional language lessons that McElroy teaches, so lots of mental health and getting along with others and being a leader, all of those types. She does that. And then we have a reading unit, and they work on their writing papers. And then, sorry, I went blank thinking of what the other ones, and then the first 6 weeks and the last 6 weeks they do their testing. We get them logged into their student portals. They do some of their MAPS testing, so the teachers aren't losing so much class time. There's lots of little things that they teach them, where do they have to go, how to go to lunch, how to go to PE, what to expect, different stuff. So they do lots of those communication skills and training the students so that they're not losing class time. And then the last 6 weeks, they do like STAR prep. There's more MAPS testing that we do, and we use that time. They collect all their books, some of the stuff, so we're not losing class time and we can make it more beneficial.
Gotcha. Is there an actual curriculum for that?
Yes, Miss McClure has a curriculum, and she has it all lined out as to what they are doing. The finance unit is easy because it's the TEKS, and so it goes with our math curriculum. But the other ones, Miss McClure has written up a curriculum for them. But next year we're not going to do that. So we're breaking that into, we're going to have English and reading class. And so we're going to lose success class so that the kids can get more time in reading.
Okay. So is the middle school adopting a new curriculum next year too, or just changing this?
Just changing it so we have more time with our reading students.
We used to do it a while back. We used to have our 6th graders had a reading class and an English class. So they had the same teacher, so they either do reading in the morning, English in the afternoon. So we're going to adopt that back and take out the success class and give them a reading class and also an English class.
Okay. Will there still be 2 math periods then, like there was this year? Or?
If there just depends on if it's in the advanced math class or
Gotcha.
not. If they're in with the if they're in math with Coach Kapke, then they'll just have that one time.
Okay. Gotcha. Because I know a couple of kids had said, like, we don't do a lot in there, and it's hard. It just makes me think of, they're only going to absorb so much in finance. You can only tell them 3 times how to write a checkbook.
They've done a good job with it of doing it just for 6 weeks. Like I said, sometimes the first 6 weeks when they're in there, a couple of classes, like I said, it's getting your grades, finding out how to get on portal, finding out how to check your grades, get emails, things like that, work Google Classroom, because we know how big that is right now. And then, like I said, some of it is depending on who they may be in there for an extra, to get some math help. It could be used some days. They may be using it to get caught up on work. If you're missing anything, let's use this time to. So it's kind of like it also can be used as success form, but it's also like an independent studies form sometimes.
Like tutorials
and extra time, because we know in 6th grade it's tough sometimes with going from elementary up to here. Now you got 8 classes. You're going everywhere. Some of them are going off campus, so it's good to have something where they can sit there and be like, okay, I need to get caught up on English. I didn't get it done today. So that's a lot of times we do that. So
Gotcha. Okay. So moving forward next year, if there's not going to be success in middle school, what avenue are you going to use to help the sixth graders, rising sixth graders transition?
We'll have tutorials. They have the tutorials, which is right now. So they'll have the 30 minutes to where they can go in and use that time more wisely. And also, we have PE. If students are struggling, we may be like, hey, during PE today, I want you to come see me. So we'll probably be doing more of that since we don't have the success class as much.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see. Better communication with the teacher. So that one came in. How can a parent have better communication with the teacher? Is it just through email? Obviously coming and meeting the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Email.
So
what else is in store for that?
So the good thing about, with how technology is moving, we have the Remind app. You can always send it through there. To me, if I need to contact anybody for my kids, I usually do Remind, email, or even call. It wouldn't hurt to do all 3. Calling up here sometimes is good. They can, Ms. Fenner or whoever can leave a note and let us know, hey, so-and-so wants to meet with you at this time. That's good. If they like to email, Remind. Like I said, it just depends on what they prefer. Usually our teachers are pretty good about responding to either Remind, email, or a phone call. So as long as they're calling up here and we can, get in contact with them and do that and know about it, then they should be able to communicate with them.
Okay. And I think this question might be, okay, we know how to reach out, but what do we say as a parent to a teacher? Like how can we show the teachers that we're involved, or when do we get involved?
Oh yeah, I think the sooner the better. If you know that your kid is struggling, you're going to notice before we do, because there's 200 and we don't have the relationship that you do with your child. So if you reach out and, hey, this is going on, the teachers will know to be watching for it and looking for things, and then we can be more proactive in a response and helping out. So the more we can communicate with one another, the better, because it's never too early. And teachers are always the first people that you would want to contact, but I am always, lots of parents. Sorry, I probably just hit that.
That's okay.
So lots of times you can reach out to me and I can go and check in on them, and lots of times when I check in on them, I'm just kind of following them around and looking and making sure that they seem happy and watching for whatever you're concerned about, or the parent, so that we can just have a better eye on it at first.
So you can literally be our eyes in the classroom, and if we have a concern about a kiddo, we can contact you and say, hey, can you just peek in and see what's going on? I've heard stuff about this period, and it can be specific like that too.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Tell us whatever you want to, because there's multiple times our windows, there is a film on them, but I go and peek in the classroom. The kids have gotten used to me, giving a thumbs up, because I'll just peek in, and it's just nice to see. And then if you have a concern, or if any parent has a concern, and we talk amongst ourselves, the admin team talks a lot, and we are checking in on lots of students, because we want everybody to have the best day possible.
Yeah, and I think it's universal across the nation. Middle school is hard.
It is.
Like it's
it really is.
All these emotions that all the kids are just learning to come up and deal with, and I think this is why I'm here.
Yep,
this is why we're here right now, is to make sure that we're all working together to help these kids navigate all these challenges that hit them at once at this age.
It's a lot. It really is.
Yeah. So school supplies. Let's talk about school supplies, because I've heard that there's so many. Obviously, we have to make sure we have enough. And then at the end of the year, there's still so many, and they don't always get sent home. So how does the school supply work around here?
Usually, a lot of our teachers do it if they did ask, let's say, for Clorox wipes, one year, because, ever since, COVID, nothing against, but we have to clean quite a bit. If they do go back and they look at their inventory and they are like, we have quite a bit, they may take that off of their supply list for the rest of the year. A lot of times it's, for them, it's just because middle school for some reason is a time that we forget a lot of things. So, when teachers are putting pencils or erasers on there, they may have extra at the end, but it's because, they have extra because either they probably already ran out and they went and bought them themselves, or they're going to keep those for next year because there's so many times that a student does not have what they need, a pencil or a journal. And so having those supplies and having it there can help us get those students going, and where they don't miss a whole class period because they don't have one, or you have to leave the classroom, and then once you leave, too many distractions going around. So having those school supplies lists, like I said, if they do have like tissues and things like that, would be surprised. It seems like a lot, but we do go through a lot of tissues in a classroom. I mean, when you got 70 kids coming to your room, they will go through a lot of tissue. I know sometimes they look at the school supplies list and like, that's a lot, but
yeah, because our kids won't blow their nose at home.
And it's
but
here
at school
they will go through that tissue box. But yeah, like I said, there's some things on there the teachers put that we know some people may not be able to get, and that's why we have some extra to be able to be like, hey, you couldn't get this, we have one for you, so they don't lose any time, especially binders, stuff like that. I know when I taught, I did the same thing. If a student didn't have a binder, I had extra left over that I gave them and said, here, so we can get to work, so you're not behind. So, like I said, I know sometimes it feels like a lot. I got kids in elementary, I feel the same way, but I know they need it. They really do.
And then what's the process at the end of the year when it's all left over? What happens then?
So usually, like, I know in a lot of our classes, a lot of their school supplies, unless it's like, Kleenexes, Clorox wipes, usually teachers keep those just for the next year. But usually a lot of them keep it in their binder, and so teachers usually give them the option to take it home. I know when I taught 6th grade science, I did that. You can take your binder home at the end of the year. Probably, I would say about 92% of them left it. So they left their pencil pouches, they left everything. So I would just keep it for the next year. If I ever have a student not, so here's one, or I'd keep it for an example. This is what it should look like. Here you go. If yours ever breaks, we have some more. So that's usually what they do with them.
And we found lots in the trash can the last week of school. There is tons of supplies, because pencils are always something that we run out of. Every class is probably out by the 5th, 6th week.
So crazy.
Because
there's so many.
Yeah.
Yes, and you find them all over we're picking them up because they're going to be looking for them later. But
I usually put them, I have a little box on the back, on my office on the outside, and we'll just go and we'll just put them in there. So when a student walks by, if they need one, they can just pick it out and go. So.
But so lots of stuff does end up in the trash, unfortunately, even though you tell them, hey, take this home, your parents.
Yep.
So if parents, I know I remind my kids, go through your stuff, bring it back. I will look through what we can use. And I have a supply, we have a supply closet. If it's good stuff that we can reuse, I put it, if there's tons of binders, the teachers do it as well. They know what they like, so they already have some that they set up for next year when kids don't bring. Because we would like the school supplies for everybody ideally everybody to bring everything that they need, but that's just not. Sometimes it's a matter of finding the supplies and getting it, and sometimes there's other reasons that they're not bringing them, and so we really do collectively make sure everybody has what they need.
That's good. I was wondering if, you could have a closet for people to buy for their kid, maybe at open house or something. But open house is a little too late, but just something. If there's a plethora of leftovers, letting parents buy it back or something instead of things just sitting in a closet. I thought maybe that would be a good idea.
And the stuff that we have, I don't know about the teachers, but by Christmas, the stuff that I have one little closet, it's probably 3 foot by 6 foot, and I put as much supplies in there as I can get in there, and by Christmas it's gone.
Wow.
Because the teachers know, the kids know that. I mean,
so they're getting used.
It's one of those. Even with the leftovers, they're gonna get used. Yeah. So, and it's one of those. And if they, for some reason, a parent can't afford it or can't, forgot to go get one, we have extra for them here. Gotcha. So usually teachers have their supply list of what they need. If they have anything extra, they keep it in their cabinets for the next year. So it goes to use. It doesn't get wasted. I promise.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Unless the kids take it and say they're taking it home,
and then they see it in the trash.
Yeah. But I know I tell my kids,
that's okay.
Bring it home and let me go over it, and then I will decide if it needs trash or if you're going to use it the next year.
I always tell them in my class, when I did it, I said, if you're going to throw it away, leave it here. Somebody will use it.
Yeah, so for sure. Because there's a lot of unfortunate kids that they can't control what their parents can or
And,
cannot
you know,
take them to go get.
I totally get with the, you know, when you got 3 in elementary or 2 up here, it's expensive. That's why we keep some extras.
Mhm.
And
We don't let our teachers hold it against them. If they can't get something, we supply
we
for
find
them.
it, yeah.
That's
And yeah, and we have so many parents that are so busy, you know, and they have so many, there's just too much to do in a day. I'm sure everybody feels that way.
That's
the
fun.
band?
The band's out there practicing for
Oh,
tonight, I guess.
send-off.
Send off.
All the send
It's
off.
regional tracks.
Oh.
even.
Oh man,
Awesome.
you guys are missing that.
No, it's alright. They didn't send anything out to us, so they may not be coming over here.
Oh, how exciting.
Well, cool. Good luck, you guys.
It's spring.
Yeah, it is. That's a perfect
it's
answer.
spring,
It is
yep.
spring. All right. What academic support programs are available for tutoring, intervention, and advanced classes in middle school?
So like I said, we've got some good opportunities for students for academic growth. Like I said, we have our advanced math kids, our classes for those, but also we've got some ways with the MAPS testing to monitor students' growth throughout the year. A lot of students don't enjoy taking it, but it really does help us on our end, and then also the teacher see where the student's heading. Because when you take one at the beginning, middle, and end, you know, we should see some growth. You know, you know, because you've you know had a full year of doing it. So having those things of being able to go back and looking at a graph, that's the biggest thing when you show a student. But hey, look, here's your graph where you're at. You're like, oh yeah.
Do they
You know,
find value in that? Because
So
I
a
know
lot-
I do
a
as
lot-
a nerd.
a
Because I like.
lot do, because then you can see on that graph of, you know, because you know a lot of these students, some of them when they take it, they won't let them, like, you're guessing too fast, it'll stop you
Oh
on these
yeah.
maps and say, hey, you're you know, random answering real too fast. The teacher will have to come over here and unlock you. So it'll let them know, but it's good to show them the graph to be like, see, you were here and now it's going this way. We can't be going this way. We've got to at least stay steady or going up. So that's huge, because sometimes their eyes they'll open up that, oh, you can actually see that. You know, this is where I was. This is where I was, and now I'm here. That, oh yeah, you know. And then usually it's, yeah, I didn't try on that one or whatever. So it's good to have those, and then also, you know, with our unit tests, you can do the same thing. A lot of them were done in Eduphoria, where they can go in and see a graph of either, you know, the campus, where the district was, where, you know, their class was, and then also individually of how they've done throughout the year. So that's always huge for them to actually see it, like, oh yeah, they know they know my score and what I did. So yes, so
Good. So the map test, I do like the map test.
they're very beneficial, because like I said, it's, you know, we should always see some type of growth throughout the year, and if we're not, then we need to find some ways that we can, what's working, what's not working, why we're doing this, to where we can fix it.
And so, do you guys use the map test for holding teachers accountable too?
Yes, I mean, it's, you know, and it's one of those that's, you know, if you see that a lot of students are, you know, dropping or staying steady, then yeah, it's a good time to go talk to the teacher and be like, hey, you know, what's going on here? Why are we seeing this? But, you know, if you have, you know, 2 or 3 students that are doing it, then we can go and be like, you know, hey, to the student, what's going on? Why are you just not like taking it or what? You know, but we need to try so we can see actually where you're at, you know. So, but it's good on both ends.
Good. What mental health resources are available for students? So as a counselor, what is a normal day?
Well, so we have lots of different programs. So we do lots of educational programs. 6th grade in the success class, we have the social emotional lessons that they are taught. We have Serenity House that comes in and does lots of, they have their little curriculum and units that they talk about for mental health.
Is that an assembly or is it class?
They go into the classes. So we get teachers that volunteer. So O'Shields is usually one for 7th grade. We have to kind of rotate it around too, depending on the teachers, because the teachers work with me. They come in usually 1 day a week for a whole 6 weeks, and so they get lessons. This year, due to some staffing changes and different things, they weren't able to come in this year, but they'll be hopefully back next year, just to changes that they were making amongst themselves. Then we have Junior Achievement that comes in. They're coming in May 5th, and it's career opportunities. So lots of which that's not mental health, but that's career, and getting them to just hear they're gonna listen to career speakers. So
Mhm.
people are gonna come in and talk to them about tons of different careers, and that's gonna be in 6th grade technology, 7th grade career exploration, and team leadership. We have Texas Tech, so we have, sometimes it's at assemblies that we have and they discuss different things. We try to work it into as many classrooms as we can, little bits and pieces, so nobody feels overwhelmed, but they get a lot of resources that way. And then of course, if somebody's having trouble and a parent reaches out to me, then or a student comes in and talks to me, then of course there's one-on-one, where we talk and visit. The state has changed our guidelines as far as somebody making an outcry. They are really pushing that they go see a professional, like you go to your PCP and talk to your PCP and him recommend something, or go to a psychiatrist or somebody that can individualize that time for you and make a professional to assess the situation. Because
It's a big need.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a big need nationally. It's huge.
Yeah.
So that's been a big push this year, is for any outcry, if any student makes an outcry, whoever finds out, we call the parent and say, this is what we heard. We don't investigate, we don't look at anything, we call you immediately and we say, this is what we heard. This is what, these are the facts of what we know as of right now, and I say facts, this is what we've been told. I call the parent comes up here, and then they investigate and look deeper and take them to a professional to seek help that way.
So explain a little more an outcry. What is an outcry from a student that follows in that?
If they say they're gonna harm themselves,
Okay.
if somebody's hurting them, or they're gonna hurt somebody else.
Okay.
There's different protocol that we need, but whenever a student, if somebody comes and says, this kid said they're gonna hurt themselves, then we would kind of investigate it a little bit, see if it, cause we get bad information sometimes and it's not right. But I'm sure that's why now it's taken we've always taken it seriously, but now we call the parent, we tell them what we've heard, and then
No matter how big or small.
Yeah, how big or small, if it's the littlest, if they just, we don't dismiss anything. And not that we ever dismissed anything, but we would call them in and they'd be, I was joking, I said this. We don't ever we will call you, so it's not, we just want somebody else to look into it to make sure. Cause who knows if they said that to me, oh, I was joking, and then later on they do something, so we never wanna take an outcry that they're gonna hurt themselves and misread it. So that's why we immediately, if there's any type that's starting, which we've always done different things, but this year, if they make any type of outcry and say they're gonna hurt it, then I call the parents, they come up here, and then the parent handles it and kinda looks into it. And sometimes the parents call back and be like, they said that they were joking. Okay, I believe, whatever y'all decided, that's perfect, but we're gonna notify you and let you address it.
Yeah. And that one's hard because, oh, I was joking is a very common excuse.
Yes.
But people have to understand how important their words are. And kids these days, like, it is almost a trend for somebody to look somebody in the eyes and say, you should kill yourself.
Yes.
And that's horrible. And to teach the kids, and us parents have to do this as parents. We have to teach our kids how valuable and how much power words have. They can kill or they can give life, and it doesn't matter if you're joking or not. You can't unhear something. So that's huge at this age, and I hear it all the time, and it breaks my heart.
Yes. And then you think of kids that are actually joking, but you don't know where the other person is.
Exactly.
And so we just.
That's one of those. It's the world we live in nowadays. Is we can't say those things. I mean, it's just how. I mean, it's changed. So, just in the 10 years that I've been doing this, it's changed. I mean, it's just the world we live in now. You can't joke like that.
Yep, it's tough.
It is.
Do you offer programs on life skills like conflict resolution, emotional regulation, and decision making?
Yes.
Is that in middle school success too?
So there was one portion of success that was like that. Verrett used to teach a unit, and then this year we had so many art students that wanted art. She didn't do that, but she did a character counts. That was, that was big for years. This next year we're real excited because we're doing Leader in Me.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a lighthouse class, and they're going to talk about all those things. And it's just more, when Miss Gomez came, we've always had Leader in Me, but it addresses all those things. And Gomez was a very big supporter of Leader in Me, and we've implemented these things, and this is another way that we can implement some more conflict resolution and leaders, and them wanting to be a leader in school and just in daily life, and setting goals for themselves and reaching them, so we're very excited about it.
So when you adopt something like that,
I'm gonna
Leader
go
in
see if
Me,
they need me.
Okay. For sure. When you adopt something like Leader in Me, how does that look on a daily basis as students? Is that a 6-week?
Well, so the Leader in Me class, it's actually 7th graders and 8th graders that they're applying now. They do an application form for it. It's a year-long curriculum, and then they'll do different projects throughout the year, and do different things for them. I was trying to look. I know I wrote down all this stuff.
Okay,
They
good.
build student leadership skills, there's teaching responsibility and goal setting, so part of it is to educate other people and try to just build the program and it become a language amongst the students as well. And then we can have 20 kids in that, which isn't, we'd love it if everybody could do it, but if we just slowly implement it, we can get more and more kids in it, and they enjoy it and they
Awesome.
like it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so they do it's gonna be also paired with the student ambassador group, and they'll do service projects and stuff, so it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I love Leader in Me. I love things like that. In North Carolina, the elementary school, first things first was what they were doing. So, but it brings home so many good values, and then it helps the kids help each other. Sometimes it builds division. So how do you make sure it doesn't build division? And just, sometimes athletes, that builds division too. How do you bridge that gap?
I think you just try to start, middle school's so hard, and it's so hard because the kids are trying to figure out who they are, and so I think you just have to keep telling them, you have a path for you and they have a path for them, and it doesn't matter if they don't look the same.
Yeah. You work in your strengths and you work in your strengths, and
and hopefully they can start seeing other people's, when they see everybody's goals and what other people's goals are, they think everybody wants to have a honor roll and be on this team or do that. When they start seeing and talking about other people's goals, I think that makes them realize that we all want different things.
Yeah, and what you like is important to you, and that's okay if it's different than what I like.
And that they're successful in their own way, and you're meeting your goal, and that's what matters. Is that you all find your strength and you reach your goals.
Yeah, I love that. How do you support students who are struggling socially and emotionally?
So we have one-on-one counseling. They come and see me. There's lots of in middle school social peer group problems that we bring them in there, and they talk, and I just try to help them learn how to bring up their concerns and talk about it and see the other person's point of view. And they are usually pretty quick little things because we want to get them back to class too and not miss out on class. So it's a balance. We know education is important, but we know that they're going to be more successful if they're happy emotionally and socially. And so we do individual peer groups. There's we do anxiety grouping. That's kind of some of the success in middle school. They talk about test anxiety. They talk about things that they can do to relieve the stress of this test, and a lot of get up, take a good breakfast, make sure you get a good night's rest. It's amazing if you just okay, hey, go to bed at this time, wake up and eat or drink something. you know, and be like, oh, don't you feel better because you did these things because you wanted to do a good job. You know, it's little things that you can say, oh yeah, I did. I went to bed early. I did a good job. I charged my Chromebook. I'm ready. So it just prepares them, and it allows for them just to have a little bit better day. And that's what we want, just a little bit better every day. And then hopefully they'll have a good school year and a good day.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of these, the cliques, the interactions that aren't healthy happen when there's free time.
Yeah.
So but we have to have free time, but it has to be monitored. You know what I mean? So what's the balance there? How do y'all focus? How do y'all get to a good, and are we at a good ratio to be able to monitor that?
I feel like, so lots of it is the transition, and lots of our behaviors that we have aren't at school. You know, it's not stuff that happened at school, because we're monitoring, we're watching, we're looking. I mean, there are stuff. There's things that we can do better, and we try to do better. We put more, you know, teachers in place to watch things. I walk around if they're saying that this is happening, you know, when they come and ask me stuff and tell me something's happening, I'm like, where, when? I'm not saying that it's not happening. I'm trying to find details so that I can make sure I go and stand, you know, next to this sixth grade bathroom during third period if that's where the problem is.
Right. And let's be honest, a lot of people talk and it's not actually happening, so you have to see it for yourself too.
You have to see it, yeah. And then sometimes it's happening and they're not telling us, so it's hard. But I feel like at school we do a really good job monitoring lots of the interactions and solving lots of the problems that are happening. Lots of stuff comes back from, oh well, you know, stuff that happened at home, or and not within the parents, but the social, you know, on the social media, at basketball games, at youth camp, at church, at this, you know, there's so many things. I mean, but that's where middle schoolers are, you know, they're learning how to be friends with others. You want them active in other things, but and then it comes to school and we try to address those problems, those situations that happened. So I feel like we're at a good balance, because parents are doing what they need to do. They're putting their kids and trying to find their child's interest, and then at school we're monitoring. But there's just going to be conflicts, and we just have to look at it and try to address them as they come up.
That's good, and hit them head on.
Yeah.
What does support look like for students dealing with grief, trauma, major life changes? My first thought on this is, are you aware of those things? Like, you have to look for signs, or if a kiddo is going through something like that, that's when the parent needs to reach out and say, hey, y'all, look out for this. I know I travel a lot, and I actually email them and I'm like, y'all, it's going to be a tough week for Legacy because I'm out of town. So let's, you know.
This is the person picking them up and this is what's going on. Yeah, reach out to me.
So how do y'all have that up when parents don't? Like, are you monitoring how they hang their head, like things, all the body language?
Well, you try to. There's 200 kids, and I do a really good job with 7th grade. They're right by my room. You know, I get to know them really well. 6th grade, I am around and I try to see stuff. We talk, you know, and it's if a teacher notices something, they email me and they're like, hey, will you check in on this person? I'll call them in and visit with them. You know, sometimes friends come and tell me. Lots of times it is, if a parent doesn't reach out and tell me themselves, it's a friend that says, hey, this is going on with them and they're struggling. And so then we bring them in and we watch them and we talk, and we have such amazing teachers. They notice and they see, and life's hard, and kids go through really hard things,
and they all react differently.
Yeah,
but the same.
Yeah.
So
So lots of time, whenever it's these hard things, sometimes they just come in my room and they sit down, and sometimes they cry, and sometimes they just want a few minutes to themselves. And
so you do have that open door.
Yeah.
That's good.
So there's no fixing it though.
Yeah.
You know?
But sometimes the best friends just sit there with you and cry with you.
Yeah.
There's power in that.
Yeah. So.
Okay. How does the school handle social media conflicts that affect students at school? So are you guys educated on that digital
Yes.
online safety and everything?
Yes, so we try to maintain all of that. Mr. Thompson and Miss Gomez would be a better person on that side of it. Of course, the kids come and tell me what's going on, and I try to address it as, for the student, trying to get them in a safe spot where they feel like they can go to class and learn.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if it's something big that happens, I tell them go get their work, come back and work in my room. They just need time away from people. Social media is tough.
It is.
So Gomez and Thompson are handling the, if there's discipline actions that need to be taken, what they need to do that way. I'm just trying to make sure that the kids that they're aware of the situation, our admin, so that they can take care of it. And then I'm trying to make sure that the kid is in the best place they can be,
Right.
and
Focusing on confidence, positive things you can control.
Yes, things that they can,
Yeah.
and sometimes just allowing them to not be, if it's a big thing, all the kids are always asking about it. So just kind of not secluding them, but allowing them a space where they can just go get their work, come back, and it just be a calm environment that they don't have to think about it. It's not their friend going, hey, what's going on here,
Yeah.
because the kids mean it in the best way, but it's hard to go through a day and it's something that has happened, and they're trying to figure it out. So from my standpoint, and then I notify parents if it needs to be notified, if their parents know about it. I try to weigh in on if they need, if a parent needs to be called and talked to, then I tell them, hey, this is, and again, I'm telling you what I get a kid's perspective, so it's not always right. So
Right.
I'm telling you what I know, and then you can look into it further. And sometimes I get the wrong information, and it's hard as parents too to try to find, okay, my kid's saying this, and this other stuff is happening too. So I include involve the parents as much as possible, but my concern is this child and trying to allow them to have a good day.
Yeah. And I think getting your kids to talk to you is hard sometimes, right? Yes. So I know I watch for my personal growth and my relationship with my kids. Like, I just watched a video the other day that how do you ask them how their day was without it being a yes or no or a fine or whatever question. So it's like, well, how'd that make you feel? And, of course, how'd that make you feel? In the whole big world of psychology, everybody makes fun of it, but it really makes people stop and think, I don't know. I never thought about that, but emotional strength is what they need right now, how to focus on things that matter to you and that are important and that you can change and that you can't change. And if you can't change it, it's there. What you focus on is what you see, and what you see is, all these things that we are our responsibility to be better people every day. It's our responsibility to reach out and find those things and to help our kids, because they haven't had the 40 plus years experience that we've had. So,
and growing up, we didn't identify that feeling that you're feeling. What is that? It wasn't there,
Right.
So
no, we were told to push our feelings aside and just keep going. Yes.
So it's a neat thing to teach the kids, hey, how does this feel? How does it make you feel? How would you like to be feeling?
Yeah.
Those are huge, just to have your kid start learning how to identify those things.
Yeah.
So it's really good. And the control. So that is one of the biggest things we do. Okay, this is what I can control right now. What, if somebody is saying this and it's not true, we just have to ignore it to some extent, because there's things that we can address as admin, and you can tell them, bring a kid in and say, stop saying that. Well, that doesn't work as well as you would want it to.
Right.
Know, especially when it's just those little annoying things that just get, or they just hear that somebody is saying that. It's hard to address those things.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, if you hear this, but you didn't, if you hear it, that's one thing. But if people
Believing
are telling you that somebody's saying that, it's just so hard to control those things.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have to teach them to focus on what the truths are.
Yes.
You are wonderfully made. You are great in these areas. And it's, I mean, we have to train ourselves to think that way.
Yes.
The brain is very powerful.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's where we come in as parents. Like, we have to teach them that and learn it ourselves. I didn't always have this positive mindset. You know, it was probably 2011. I changed my direction, and God showed me some things that I was oblivious to because I focused on the negative aspect of life, you know, and I was grumpy and sad and mad, and He showed me that there was another path right in front of me, you know. So things like that, we have to choose those paths.
That's awesome.
What do you think are the biggest challenges students at Holly Middle School are facing right now?
I think it's national. I mean, I think it's just in their growth, students as elementary, as a parent of smaller kids, you have such control. They're friends with your friends' kids. You know, their little group is so small, and you have a lot of power. Parents have so much. But as they become middle schoolers, they are learning to be independent. So there's tons of conflict, and they're having to learn how to deal with those conflicts. And, you know, they're getting new friends that have different, that live life differently. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, kids think, oh, all houses are ran this way. Well, then when they see it's not, it's just a difference. It's not a better or worse. It's just a different. And so tons of stuff gets brought up, and they learn so much. So, and then sports, you know, 7th grade is a hard year, and you think of, I'm going to go with girls just because, you know, they start off in volleyball season, so they get really close to those group of girls. Then volleyball changes, and they go to basketball. Well, they get put on different teams, and they're not with their best friend or their family friend that they've grown up with, because that kid might not even want to be in basketball. And so that doesn't mean they don't love them and still are friends with them, but it changes. And so that who you spend time with is who you're gonna not be friends with. But that's kind of how kids see it, is if they're spending time with one another, they're friends with them and they love them. And they're maybe not that they love them, but that's who's important to them. And we know as adults that's not how it works. That's who you get to spend time with. So each season of sports changes. There's a huge lots of conflict. So I think it's real important for parents to, if your friends, like, to make sure that they spend time with their other friends, you know, like, so if there's lots of confrontation and they've been friends forever, be like, hey, schedule some time to spend some time with them. Y'all are just on different paths right now. So you need to, and I know that's oversimplifies, but I feel like those are the biggest things. The kids think, oh, well, I'm in volleyball and they're in off season. Well, they're not spending time together. They're not going to games together. There's so much added time whenever you play a sport together. They feel like they're not friends, and they are still friends. They're just not getting to spend time, and they don't know what's going on in their day-to-day class. And you can take that to, I'm in advanced math, they're in regular math. They, you know, you talk about different things and you have different interests, and you've got to realize that doesn't mean there's anything different in your relationship with them. You're just not experiencing the same things at that time.
Well, and teaching that we don't have to like the same things to be friends. Like,
okay.
Our differences help us grow. Like, kids aren't going to talk about, well, how was basketball? You know, they're not going to talk about that, but they're going to say, oh, she was at basketball. I'm not involved in that. And they naturally create the division themselves.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And just to spend time with them to help them see that is huge.
And I think that just adds to all the other things that they're trying. And they're trying so many things. I mean, we have lots of stuff. We have junior base, we have art, we have computers, we have band, they have, you know, there's so many things that they can be involved in. There's no two kids that are going to do everything the same way.
Right.
And so there's gonna be that pull, and we just have to remind them that doesn't mean this friend doesn't care about you anymore. Y'all are still friends. You just have to work a little bit.
And let's look at the other side of that. Like, we have to tell the friend who's diving into this one thing, whether it be volleyball, basketball, you know, they have to understand that you can still be friends with this person just because they're not at basketball practice with you every day. So it's a two-way street.
It is,
you know?
yes,
it is. Yeah. So we have to have to make sure we bring that to light.
Mm-hmm.
What is something you wish more parents understood about middle schoolers? These are all good questions that I feel like we've covered
They're very
too,
good.
you know?
They're
But-
such good questions.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's understanding. I just wish there's so much greatness in each one of them. I just think we need to focus more on all the wonderful things they do.
Their strengths.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think Coach Abel said it. I really loved it the other day when I interviewed him and I asked him, I said, what can a parent do for an athlete to help them? And he was like, instead of telling them what they should have done, tell them, I really enjoyed watching you play.
Yeah.
You know? And it's things like that we forget because coaching from the sidelines is definitely, and criticizing, over criticizing, is it beats our kids down. And to really, and it's hard because you don't want to instill an ego.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to puff them up, but you want to build them up.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure what you're encouraging them on is true. Like if they're not the greatest singer, don't say you're the greatest singer, because that'll definitely confuse the brain.
Yes.
But you know, just point out the highlights.
Yep, I think so.
Yep, I like that too. What's the most effective way parents and schools can work together if their students start struggling?
Communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Just let us know, because we're here to help and we want to help. And our teachers are so good at reaching out and scheduling time. We all are busy, so there are times that it doesn't work, but it's not anything against you or your, it's
Right.
just scheduling. It's busy.
Yeah, and don't give up.
Yeah.
If you don't get an answer, follow through.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not because somebody, I mean, obviously people don't get along sometimes, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And I know people hate it when I see that, but I mean, there's been times where you and I have followed up with each other. We're like, oh my gosh, we forgot to do this.
Yes,
Let's make sure we stay on top of it. And I think it's holding each other accountable for the greater good, not to condemn or,
absolutely.
and these behaviors our kids learn from us. So if we can teach them that, working together and knowing, believing that we're on the same team.
Yes. Yeah.
And just going towards that goal, I think that's gold.
Yeah. If reach out, talk to us, call us, because we want the best for the students as well.
Mm-hmm. Good. Effective parent involvement look like? What does that look like? So again, communicating.
Yeah.
Let me ask, this one isn't on here, but it's definitely, especially with TEA putting out the new scope for starting your pathways in 8th grade.
Yes.
So, and even with this year, I know the kids meet with you to pick their career paths or their classes for the next year.
Yes, so they meet with me, so I go in usually in February. They do CTE tours. We have tours where they can go to they see what high school has to offer. May 5th, they're having another career stuff. So we try to bring as much careers in and just educate them. 6th grade goes to Texas, TSTC, and learns about that, or they'll do Cisco Junior College. In 7th grade, we go to McMurray or one of the state's public schools or 4-year colleges, and then in 8th grade they go to Dias. And so hopefully, and they're talking about careers and different opportunities that they provide. So hopefully by the time they get to high school, they kind of know what they want to, and they've seen more careers and are knowledgeable about more careers that they could possibly want to do. So maybe it makes more sense to them, is what we're hoping. And they have a little bit more knowledge as they go up. But so in February, I go in 6th grade. We all pretty much, they take the same classes, so I don't meet with them. But this year's 6th graders, I go in February and I tell them their options, and we look into stuff. And they tell me what they requested, and then the same thing for 7th grade. I go in, and that's after they've done another CTE tour to kind of see again what we have to offer and what they want that year. It doesn't mean that they're set in stone. We just want give them opportunities to kind of figure out what they like and what they don't like,
Mhm.
you know? So they might take ag this year and decide, oh, that is not for us. And so they do something
I'm not a
different
fan of
next year.
scooping poop.
Yeah, and so they try something next year, you know, and so hopefully they figure out either they love something or they don't like it. So
Mhm.
that's a good thing if you can figure out one or the other. So, and then right now for our 8th grade students, Miss Marburger is working with them to get their freshman schedules ready.
Where does the parent get involved there?
So they will have lots of parent meetings. They just had one last, maybe at the beginning of this month, and kind of explained everything to the parents and everything that we have to offer. On our webpage, there's lots of things, of resources of different things that we offer. So yeah, by your 8th grade to freshman year, the parents are very involved, and you're trying to decide, you know, what you want their high school career to look like,
Mm-hmm.
and what all you want them to accomplish, and that goes back to, you know, the kids having their goals, and so hopefully, and parents talking and figuring that stuff out, and lots of kids go into their parents' profession, so you know the best, so just work with Miss Marburger is wonderful,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and she'll reach out, and I just talked to her together this morning before this about Mabry's schedule, so
Yeah.
call, because they're very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that is something like we as parents have to be proactive in
Mhm.
making sure. I do wish that there was a calendar of these, or if there is and I've missed it,
Yes.
I need to be directed into finding that.
Yes.
So when these things happen, so that we know to bring it up to the kids.
yeah.
Because when Legacy came home and said, "Oh, by the way, I'm taking this next year," I'm like, "What?
Yes.
We need to talk about this."
Yes, and they had a little sheet that they could go and talk to you about, because that's another thing I say, and lots of kids change theirs afterwards. So after I go in and meet, I put all their electives, I put, you know, the 4 core classes, everybody takes those. You have a choice between advanced math and regular math, depending on your, you know, that is a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
So I put everything that they have to take and then what their electives are. They choose it, but I tell them, take this home and make sure, you know, let them look over it.
Yeah.
But I can do a better job emailing it out and saying, hey, we're doing this.
I was going to say, I would love that.
I schedule it usually in January when we come back. I start talking to the teachers and asking which teachers I can go into and do that. So I usually, the first week of January, I have it planned. So that's something simple that I would have never thought to do, is just email out and say, hey, this is what we did today.
Right. Talk to your kids about it. Let me
Yes.
know if you have any questions.
Yes.
I would love that.
Yes.
So definitely, yeah. And I think a lot of other people would too.
Oh yeah, I could. That's a simple.
Yeah.
And you don't know, you know, until something comes up. Because
Right.
I tell them, hey, take it home. You know, make sure your parents know.
Yeah.
And I don't think of anyway.
That
It never
backpack,
crossed my
especially
mind.
with no homework, that backpack does not get cracked open once they get home.
And I should know that. I have kids too. But yeah, that's a simple thing. I can start putting it on our middle school page. Hey, I went into the classrooms and
That'd be
be
great.
looking for this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then remind people too, and I keep forgetting to even put the Bridge the Gap out on Remind
Oh,
to say, hey,
yes.
parents, go look at this. You know, it answers a lot of questions.
I
But
love
using Remind for that avenue to remind them, hey, we got the CTEs coming up.
Oh,
Ask your
yeah.
kids, talk to them about what they saw. And that's how
Yes.
we can work together
Yes,
to make
for
sure. Because
sure.
kids do have a different atmosphere around school that might persuade them to go a different path than what we see our kids like at home.
Yes.
You know, so to
And
definitely.
Oh.
Mhm.
I like that. Yes, and I didn't even think to put it out on Remind. Anyway, but yes.
But
we
yeah,
can
that
start
would be
doing-
great.
You know, and that's one of our goals. You know, of course, Miss Gomez made the middle school Facebook page, and we're like, yeah, we're going to put something on it each week. Well, then you get busy and you take care of what
It's hard.
we want to do better,
Yes.
and we will do better, but we get busy and forget.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And not forget. It just. I mean, we do forget, but it's.
I mean, we can only do so much in a
Yes.
day.
We're like, oh, we want to make sure they know, you know, we do lots of neat stuff that we
Yes.
want to make sure that y'all are aware of, and we need to remember to do that.
Yes, and maybe there's a parent that can help update
Oh,
those
yeah.
things too, you know, just put it, and that's hard to delegate sometimes
Yes.
too, because you want to put it in certain wording or something, but there might be a parent who's
Okay.
great at digital media that can
Mhm.
stay on top of that.
Yes.
So if you're there, let us know.
Yes.
But
Yeah. And
we
it's
can't.
so simple. It's a little easy task that you think, oh, that takes 2 seconds. Why didn't I get it done?
Oh
And
my
we
gosh,
just-
if you've done anything in digital or marketing though, it
It's
takes a
not.
long time. Yeah, because you want to get it perfect, but
Yes.
yeah. But anyway, that's how we can work together too.
Yes, we can work together.
Good deal. When should a parent reach out to you, me? I think this question was directed to me. When should a parent reach out to you versus a teacher or administration? So you can always reach out to me. 90% of the time, I'm going to advise you to follow the path of leadership in the school. So first you talk to the teacher, you know, if there's a problem, if there's a concern, if there's something you want to help with. My number is plastered everywhere. You can always reach out to me and I'll help bridge the gap. If you don't know how to talk to the teacher, don't want to do it alone, I've done that. I've sat in on school board meetings and advocated for a student to get something done, you know, an amendment made through the school board. I will do that for you. You just have to let me know. But 90% of the time, there's no easier way than to just reach out. Reach out to the teacher. If you're not getting anywhere that you want to with the teacher, then go to the principal. And if you're not getting anywhere through the principal, then you go to the superintendent and follow that chain of command. But that's it seems simple, but for some, I understand it's not simple. So if you have a hard time, if you're having a hard time with one of your students' teachers and you want me to help you mediate, I'm there for you. So no problems there.
And you can always call me as well. So I get lots of concerns, you know, and I can just help you walk you through what to do. You
Awesome.
know, or, you know, how to get it. I send emails, you know, teacher emails, you know, so I can help out when needed.
Awesome. How can parents reinforce the school's behavior and academic expectations? What does that look like?
I think it would be helpful if parents realized, and they do, they have to know, you know, we know that not everything is perfect. For one student, there is definitely the best scenario and the best way to handle it. But whenever we have 200 students at the middle school, you know, over 1,000 district-wide, it changes. You know, it's hard to find the right thing to do for every single person, you know, or group. And so some of our rules might seem silly or weird, but they're not, because if you think of all of these kids saying that one thing, it would be awful. You know, if we have one kid out of the norm doing it, yes, it's easy to address, but that's not how it is. You know, usually if one is doing it, there's 15 others doing it too.
Yeah.
And so it's harder to make rules, and it's not hard to make rules. It's easy to make rules. It's hard to stick to rules when there's so many kids involved. So
well, and
just
that's
be supportive that yes, that's probably not the best situation, but it works most of the time, and that's why we have it. You know, and we know too, and we try to gauge and try to work with them, but it's really hard because, you know, I have 3 kids, they're all completely different. Well, and lots of parents are the same way. There's not one right thing to do. So we're trying to find the best solution socially, academically, for all these kids. So
and make sure it's still equal and fair treatment.
Yes. So it's just not as easy as you think, because especially if you're around, well, you know, different kids have different interests and enjoy different things. One thing might work perfect for them, but you throw in 10 other kids and it's not, you know. I run into that too. You know, usually I have really small groups. Well, when I have to take large groups, they're like, Miss Heathington, you still have a teacher voice. Yep, I do. I mean, you know, but what works in my office doesn't work whenever I'm in charge of 20 kids. And then whenever you're in charge of 60 kids, it's also, you know, there's different rules based on the groupings, because there's it has to work that way.
There's so
And
many different circumstances.
So lots of times we agree, hey, that would work best in your case, but we have to be able to apply it across the board and be fair.
Mhm.
So it looks different.
Yeah.
Does that answer it?
Yeah, I think so. It's tough. I mean, it takes communication.
Yes.
It's the key for everything.
Mhm.
It really is. It's a lot of communication, and I know both parents work a lot these days, and that's a lot of the problem is we don't get a lot of time with our kids at home because of extracurriculars or this, that, and the other. But just take 10 minutes at the end of the day and sit there and summarize the day, and that helps the kids get it out. It helps us get it out.
Yeah.
It helps us grow together because we really know what's on each other's mind instead of only the bits and pieces we get to analyze and see, which judgment 90% of the time is wrong.
Yes. And that's another thing, we are so different. But her and I are as different as they can be. And so she'll, call. She does a great job calling and asking, which her kids are out of middle school now, but we're friends outside of school too, just because small communities, you're friends with everybody.
Right.
I mean,
right.
But, and she'll laugh and I'm like, but me, I think this is really important. And she's like, well, me, I don't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I'm like, I know, so we have to find a middle ground.
We do.
And we just laugh because we're so different, but we both want what's best for the kids.
Right.
And she understands, I think probably, I don't know. I think education is really important. Not that she doesn't. We just think that differently. But my kids are going to have A's. This is what I expect. They are going to be at school. They're going to do this. My rules are different than her rules.
Sure.
And when we talk, we both want we both are doing what we think is right and what's best for our kids.
There's just a different avenue, a different approach to it.
Yeah. And so I love talking to her because we can both just laugh at each other and be like, okay, well, this is how I see it, and this is how I see it.
Same.
And that's what we need.
Yeah.
I don't think my way's better. It's what works for me because that's my personality.
Yeah.
She's raising amazing kids, and that is what works for her.
Mm-hmm.
So we just have to be able to see the good in others.
Right. And be able to put it aside and still know that we're working for the best interest of the kids.
Yes.
So even if we disagree, we have to understand that the big picture is our kids' success.
Yes. And that's exactly,
And it takes hard conversations to get there.
And if you believe in the good of the other person, it's really not that hard.
Right.
Because you can have really hard conversations, but realize that this person is they think this is the best way, you think this way. We just all have different opinions, and we just have to respect each other's opinions and realize we're all coming from we want success.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to communicate with parents.
Yeah.
And we want what's best for the students.
Good. And not to take it personally too. So, Mama Bear coming up to the school upset about their kid, they're going to be upset. But understanding defensive wise, because administration is on the defense when a parent comes at them that way, but understanding it's not about them, like truly looking at the big picture in every conversation and looking past our faults, because we can't always keep it together, but taking a breath, listening, even when we're talking to our kids, and just taking a breath, listening, understanding that we're on the same team. We truly are, if we focus on that. If we focus on, I'm being attacked, then you're not going to be able to have good communication if you focus on the wrong things. So I think that's good. That's a great example of how people think differently but still come together.
I just think we want to prepare the students for success.
Yeah.
We want to work with parents, and we want to have open communication and try to figure out what's the best, because we are in charge of tons of people. The more we understand what their opinion is and what they see, the better it builds you as a better person too.
Yeah.
So we just want successful students,
Yeah.
and we want parents to be involved and feel like our door is always open.
And I want parents to work together too, because you say that, calls me and is like, let me run this through my Christie filter. And we talk about things, and a lot of times her perspective is something I wouldn't have thought of, and vice versa. And if we work together, that helps us get to the main point, which is what's best for the kid.
It is.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Volunteer opportunities. How can parents get involved in the school community? Is there an open door for us being on campus, or what's that look like?
We might have to ask
Miss Gomez?
Ms. Gomez.
Call up here, ask to let us know what your gifts are, how you can help, and or us, like I'm a part of admin, I'm so not.
Yes.
But we need to call Miss Finner and say, hey, I've got free time this day. Is there something I can do to help on campus?
Yes.
And then I know through the superintendent, there's an application that we have to do a background check to be able to come on campus too, things like that. So we'll get more details to that question
Yes.
later. But was there anything else you wanted to share as we wrap up?
We're excited. The springtime is crazy and busy, but we're here, and you know, we might be running around, but we're here and we're excited, and we really enjoy your kids.
Yeah.
So,
And then how long you guys, after school's out, you still have to work through
yes.
the summer.
So different people work different hours, but there will be somebody here all summer long. So there's different contract days. There's 10, 10 and a half, 11, and then 12-month contracts. But yeah, we're here. There's
Yeah.
somebody here all summer.
Yeah, good.
So,
I'll be here a lot too, doing a lot of stuff to show what's going on. Because changes are coming. Like there's changes through elementary campus. There's big changes with Leader and Me. Lots of things changing, and that's because you guys want what works and what's best for the kids. So you're constantly looking for good things, and I really appreciate that a lot.
Thank you.
So, well, that concludes this episode. Thank you, Miss Heathington. We appreciate you. Mr. Thompson had to go off and do principal things, but that happens. Tune in next time and send in your questions. We want your questions. We want to do this with you. We want to help you, help us, help the administration, help your kiddo, because we love kids. So thank you for tuning in.